Hey, what's up, YouTube? It is LeVar Love, that real estate guy, and I'm back again to give you some valuable information. Hey, here's the deal. It's fall, it's football season. I've got a lot to do, but I still want to get quality content out to you guys. I want to make a difference when it comes to real estate. I want to help all of those people who are looking to be real estate investors, successful real estate agents, realtors, entrepreneurs, so forth and so on. But before I get started, I do want to talk about one thing. I'm upgrading, ladies and gentlemen. I got me a microphone. If you don't know, a little bit about me. I've never been kind of a entertainer type microphone guy. I'm a business numbers guy, but I'll be honest with you. It felt cool to get my first microphone. So now back to the topic. Today, I am here to talk to you about how much does it cost to flip a house. I know that this is one of those exciting, always search topics on Google and YouTube. I felt at being a rehabber, a developer, a real estate guy, that I can give my opinion and put my input in on this thing. The reality of it is, I really would probably title this all the costs associated with flipping a house or rehabbing a house. And I'll just let you know, just a little secret, a little something I'm putting out here. This is the first part of a 4-part series when it comes to cost associated with development and rehab and flipping houses. This is the first one. So this is the overview, and I'm really going to talk to you about the key costs when it comes to flipping a house. Let me break it down for you. I want to give you the general overview. The way I look at it, there are 4 key costs that are associated with flipping a house. Let me break them down for you. The first one is your purchase price or your acquisition cost. You got to go out and you got to buy that property that needs to be flipped. That's number 1. Number 2 is your rehab cost. You flipping this bad boy, so you got to make it look pretty. You got to Mac Daddy out the kitchen. You got to make it look good, do all of that stuff. And there's a cost associated with that. 3, and the one I feel that most people overlook, and I'm just going to be candid. This is the real on real estate. I overlooked it with my first few flips, and that's the carrying cost. How much does it cost every day for you to hold this property? Because every day you have it, it eats away at your profit at the end of the day. So very important cost that many young flippers, young entrepreneurs in this real estate game overlook are carrying costs. And then last but not least, your sales/marketing cost. How much are you giving that buying and selling realtor once you get this bad boy all fixed up and you get ready to put it back on the market? That costs dinero, that costs bread. So we want to talk about that a little bit as well. Now, here's the thing. This is actually a topic that I wrote a blog about. If you want to check it out, a link is below. It is on the website. So if you're one of those people, you need to not just hear it, you want to read it, you want to see it in print. One of them old school people, I'm a little old school, giving you that good information, that content, so you can go out here and make this money in real estate. Now, let's get to it. So the first cost is acquisition cost. Here's the reality of it. You have to buy a house. Some people say, the whole wholesale. And if you down and dirty with it, you trying to get in there, you trying to make this real bread like you see on HGTV when it comes to flipping a house, you have to have acquisition cost, right? Here's what that looks like. You go into a neighborhood that you've done your research on and you find that rundown, beat up house that you want to rehab, make it look pretty and make it worth all of this money. Well, when you do that, you got to figure out it's going to cost me a certain amount. I'll just give you some rough numbers right now. I'm going to take you back to 2014. 2014, when I got back into the game hard when it comes to flipping and doing real estate, here was a picture perfect deal. I found a house in a community that I could purchase for $24,000. Okay. So my acquisition cost on this property was $24,000. Now, with that property, what I knew is if I rehabbed it and put work into it, fixed up, Mac Daddied out the bathrooms, the kitchens, did a little work to the flooring, put some tile in the basement, things like that, that when I was ready to sell this house, it would be worth $140,000. So for my beginners, for my first time flippers, that is your after retail value. It's in the blog. I talk about it in the blog. That's your ARV. So my acquisition cost for the property was going to be $24,000. The ARV, after repair value of the property, was going to be $140,000. But I always was taught, look, regardless of what I tell you, you're only going to take away 20% of it. So I'm going to tell you what the most important 20% is. The most important 20% is my acquisition cost to this property was $24,000. Let's talk about the rehab cost. After I knew my ARV, I had to understand how much is it going to cost for me to fix this house up. At the time, I realized that I could get a new kitchen, update the bathrooms. There was 2 bathrooms in the house. It was 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. I was going to take down a wall so we could get that open concept. You know, everybody loves that open concept these days. And then I was going to just paint, refinish the floors because they were hardwood floors. And all of these costs were going to be somewhere roughly around $65,000. Now, here's for that most important part. The rehab cost associated with this project was $65,000. Got it? So we talked about acquisition cost. I was going to pay I paid $24,000 for the house. Now we're talking about rehab cost. We're talking about $65,000 in rehab. That was just an estimate. This is before I touched it, did anything to it. So you take that 65, which is rehab cost, add it to the 24, which is your acquisition cost. And what do you have? You got it? Okay. That's $89,000 in cost already. Woo! Yeah, see? All you big money war bucks, y'all like, that ain't nothing. I got that sitting in the piggy bank. It's in my bedroom, right? Now, let's talk about the third cost. And I'm just being vulnerable here. This is the one that I really overlooked on that first deal. The carrying cost. So let me explain it to you. As soon as you purchase this property, you walk away from closing, you're feeling like $1 million. I bought it, it's mine, I'm the man, I'm a flipper, I'm in real estate and all of that. The bills start adding up. You get a water bill. You get the electric turned on so the carpenters and GC can work. You get an electric bill. If it's wintertime in Chicago, you get a heating bill. You get a gas bill. Then you look up, it could be you get a tax bill, right? Then guess what? Like me on my first deal, if you got hard money, now you got financing costs on a monthly basis, maybe. Interest only payments. Those are your carrying costs. Every month you get those bills. And then how I was taught from experienced investors, you break that amount down to a daily basis so you understand what are your daily carrying costs for this property. So every day you understand it costs you $100 or so just to have this property. But at the end of the day, the most important part in the takeaway here is your carrying cost. Every day you are carrying a cost to have that property until you sell it and get that check. The last but definitely not least is the sales and marketing cost. But for me, many times that would be the cost that I'm going to pay the broker, the agent, or whatever the case may be that sells this property. So for most of you, you're going to list it with an agent and they're going to put it on the MLS. It's going to be beautiful. So you're going to get 20 offers in the first 20 minutes. I'm joking. I don't know. In this market, you never know. But at the end of the day, when you list with that agent, there's going to be a percentage of the sale of the property that you're paying to that listing agent, who will in turn, that brokerage pay. There's a buying broker or whatever the case may be that represents the buyer. In a nutshell, that is your sales and marketing cost for the most part. That's just kind of making it real quick to kind of understand it. So here's the reality of it. Let's go back to those numbers, right? I said my acquisition cost on that first deal in 14, when I really got back into it heavy, was 24. My rehab cost was 65. My carrying cost, what I broke it down to, was somewhere around maybe 50, 60 bucks a day, something like that. When you talk about the financing charge, it was like interest rates was pretty high on hard money back then. And then last but not least, my sales cost. Basically, I listed the property. On average, you're going to list with a listing agent from somewhere to 4 to 6%. There is no set listing fee or charge or whatever the case may be, but just on average, because you want to list with the best, somebody who's going to sell it quick. But that sales and marketing cost can be somewhere between 4 to 6% of your after retail value or your sales price. So if we're just going kind of real quick numbers, if you want to know, if that property was supposed to sell for 140 and I'm at 5% there, so that means that I'm looking at somewhere around $7,000, $8,000 for my sales and marketing costs. Easy, right? Hey, listen, like, subscribe. You'll get this information. You'll get this content. I want to make sure that as soon as I start putting out the information on this series about the cost associated with flipping and rehabbing a house, I want you to be the first to get it. All right. That's me, LeVar Love, with The Real on Real Estate. Stay tuned. I'm going to be back at you.